Something rare is unfolding, and it is happening quietly, not with headlines, not with chaos, not with noise. But beneath the surface of time itself, a subtle alignment has begun to move into place. Most people will never notice it, not because it isn't real, but because true shifts never announce themselves loudly. They whisper, and only those who are paying attention hear them. As December 30th approaches, an ancient numerical pattern begins to activate, a pattern first hinted at in the cryptic writings of Nostradamus. 6 numbers, not random, not symbolic decoration, but frequencies that awaken only at very specific moments in history. This is one of those moments. And here's the unsettling part. If you're watching this right now, you are not pulled here by accident. Have you felt it lately? A quiet restlessness, a sense that something is coming, but you can't quite explain what. Moments where the same numbers seem to follow you, on clocks, receipts, screens, thoughts. That is not coincidence. That is alignment. Before we go any further, let me say this clearly. Welcome to Prophecy of Luck. This is not just a channel. It is a meeting point for those who sense that destiny moves through patterns, not chaos. If you are new here, you are exactly where you need to be. Take a moment right now, tap the like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment below, I am aligned with abundance. This is not just engagement, it is intention. And intention changes how energy responds to you. Now let us begin. Nostradamus never predicted numbers the way modern lottery culture understands them. He did not believe in luck as randomness. He believed in timing, in resonance, in moments where certain vibrations unlocked doors that were previously sealed. December 30th is one of those doors. The 6 numbers you are about to discover are not promises. They are invitations. Each one carries a specific role. Miss one, and the pattern weakens. Understand them together, and momentum begins to build in ways that feel almost unnatural. But before revealing them, there is something you must understand. The universe does not reward desperation. It responds to readiness. That is why this message does not reach everyone. The first number carries the energy of foundation. It is overlooked, underestimated, rarely celebrated, and yet without it, nothing stands. That number is 17. At first glance, 17 appears ordinary. It doesn't sparkle. It doesn't seduce. It doesn't carry the mystique of master numbers or the glamour of repeating digits. And that is exactly why its power goes unnoticed. 17 is not here to impress you. It is here to stabilize you. This number represents quiet resilience, the kind of strength built when no one is watching, the energy of continuing when motivation fades, the frequency of discipline without applause. Think about your own life, the responsibilities you carry silently, the effort you give without recognition, the patience you are forced to develop because quitting is not an option. That is 17 working through you. Nostradamus associated this vibration with preparation before elevation. He believed that destiny does not reward raw desire. It rewards structure, endurance, inner order. And here is where it becomes interesting. When you break down 17, you arrive at 8, the number of karmic balance, the eternal exchange between effort and reward. This tells us something important. If things have felt slow, if progress has felt delayed, if rewards have felt just out of reach, you are not blocked. You are being calibrated. December 30th activates this frequency more strongly. It asks one question. Will you stay steady even when results are not immediate? Because those who do are the ones who receive what others never reach. Now pause for a moment. Has your life recently required more patience than usual? Have you been asked to trust the process without proof? If yes, then this number is already active around you. And that brings us to the second number. This one does not build quietly. It completes. The number 9. Most people misunderstand 9. They see it as an ending, a closing chapter. But Nostradamus viewed 9 as mastery, the moment where effort transforms into alignment. 9 represents the phase where you stop chasing and start attracting. When this frequency activates, things begin responding to you differently. Conversations shift. Opportunities appear without force. Resistance dissolves, but only if you align with it correctly. Here's the question few people ask themselves. Are you acting from intention or reaction? 9 does not respond to chaos. It responds to clarity. That is why this number often appears after periods of confusion. It signals that the lesson has been learned, even if the reward has not yet arrived. On December 30th, 9 amplifies one truth. What you have been doing repeatedly, what you have been tolerating silently, what you have been thinking consistently, is shaping what comes next. So ask yourself, what pattern are you feeding? Because 9 does not judge. It multiplies. Now, before I reveal the third number, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how some people seem naturally magnetic? Not louder, not more aggressive, just aligned. That energy comes from harmony. And that harmony is represented by 3. 3 is the bridge between thought, emotion, and action. When those 3 fall out of sync, life feels heavy, forced, resistant. But when they align, momentum becomes effortless. Nostradamus often wrote in triads, 3-fold visions, 3-stage outcomes. He believed reality itself stabilized through 3 forces working together. Around December 30th, this number activates creativity, expression, and authentic presence, which leads to an uncomfortable realization. Where have you been holding back? What truth have you softened? What desire have you delayed? What part of yourself have you muted to keep peace? 3 does not reward suppression. It rewards expression. And here's where curiosity deepens. Because the 4th number is not about action. It is about recognition. The number 7. 7 appears when alignment is close, when clarity is within reach, when intuition is trying to speak, but logic keeps interrupting. Nostradamus treated 7 as a marker of divine timing, not a signal to rush, but a signal to listen. 7 asks you to slow down, to notice, to trust what feels right even when it cannot be explained. On December 30th, this number acts like a checkpoint. Are you moving because you are afraid to stop, or because the path truly feels aligned? Those who ignore 7 often repeat cycles. Those who respect it break them. Now think, has your intuition been louder lately? Have you felt nudged away from certain choices without logical reason? That is 7 working quietly in the background. And we're not done, because the 5th number shifts everything from insight into reality. The master builder, 22. This is not luck energy. This is construction energy. Nostradamus associated 22 with destiny being shaped consciously rather than stumbled into. It appears when you are ready to stop waiting for permission. This number asks a hard question. If you already knew you wouldn't fail, what would you finally begin? 22 turns ideas into structure, vision into systems, desire into plans that actually work. December 30th amplifies this frequency for those who are willing to commit rather than wish. And finally, the 6th number. This one does not chase abundance. It receives it. 66. This is the vibration of allowance, of worthiness, of understanding that you no longer need to prove yourself to receive. Nostradamus considered this frequency dangerous for the unprepared, because it amplifies whatever belief you already hold about yourself. If you believe you lack, it multiplies lack. If you believe you deserve, it multiplies flow. Which belief are you feeding? Now here's the question that determines everything. Why did these 6 numbers find you? And why now? In part 2, we're going deeper. We will uncover how these numbers interact together, why December 30th is critical, and what happens when one number is ignored. So before you leave, answer this honestly in your mind. Are you watching out of curiosity, or because something inside you already knows this matters? If you're ready, stay with me. Part 2 is where the pattern fully reveals itself. If you are still here, that already says something important about you. Most people would have clicked away by now, not because this isn't powerful, but because true alignment makes people uncomfortable before it makes them free. And yet you stayed. That tells me you are not just curious, you are receptive, because what we are about to explore now is where most messages stop. This is where things shift from inspiration into activation. In part 1, you were introduced to the 6 numbers Nostradamus connected to moments of rare alignment. But numbers do not work in isolation. They never have. Their power emerges when they interact, overlap, and activate one another. This is where timing becomes everything. December 30th is not random. It is positioned at the edge of closure and emergence. The year is ending, cycles are collapsing, and energetic accounts are being settled. Nostradamus believed that the final days of any cycle determine the momentum of the next one. So ask yourself this: how do you usually end things? With clarity or exhaustion? With intention or relief? Because endings are not neutral. They are instructions. Now let us go deeper into how these numbers begin to work together. 17 grounds you. 9 completes the lesson. 3 realigns your expression. 7 sharpens intuition. 22 builds structure. 66 opens the channel of receiving. But here is what most people never realize. If even one of these is resisted, the entire pattern weakens. For example, if you try to build with 22 without first stabilizing with 17, you burn out. If you chase abundance with 66 without completing lessons through 9, it slips through your fingers. If you act with 3 without listening to 7, you move fast in the wrong direction. This is not superstition. It is energetic logic. Nostradamus spent decades observing how human behavior interacted with timing. He noticed something disturbing. People often reach the right opportunity with the wrong internal state. And when that happens, opportunity collapses. This is why alignment always comes before reward. Now, let me ask you something uncomfortable. What if the reason things haven't worked out yet is not because they weren't meant for you, but because you weren't aligned yet? Sit with that for a moment, because December 30th does not bring luck. It brings exposure. It reveals what you are ready to hold. This is where the role of 9 becomes critical again. 9 is not forgiving. It is honest. It asks, have you learned the lesson, or are you just tired of repeating it? Many people confuse exhaustion with growth. Nostradamus warned against this illusion. Fatigue does not equal wisdom. Only integration does. So here's a question only you can answer. What pattern in your life keeps repeating with different faces? Relationships? Money? Confidence? Trust? 9 will not move forward until that loop is understood. Now, once 9 clears a lesson, something strange begins to happen. You feel lighter, not euphoric, not dramatic, just clear. That is when 3 activates. 3 brings back expression, voice, creativity, joy. It reminds you of who you were before survival mode muted your spirit. Have you noticed how hard it has become for people to feel joy without guilt, to rest without anxiety, to express themselves without overthinking? That is misalignment. 3 corrects that. But here is the danger. 3 can feel irresponsible to those who are still stuck in fear. Nostradamus wrote that creativity terrifies rigid systems because it cannot be controlled. So when 3 activates in your life, you may notice resistance from outside, people questioning your choices, energy shifting around you, comfort zones collapsing. This is not a sign to stop. It is a sign you are finally becoming visible to yourself. Now let's talk about 7 again, because this is where most people make a mistake. 7 is not passive. It does not mean wait forever. It means listen before you move. On December 30th, 7 acts like a filter. It removes noise. It sharpens intuition. It brings awareness to subtle signals you previously ignored. That sudden hesitation before saying yes. That quiet pull toward a different option. That inner voice that doesn't shout, but persists. That is 7. And here's the truth. Your intuition already knows what your mind keeps debating. So why don't people listen to it? Because intuition requires responsibility. Once you know, you can't pretend you didn't. That is why 7 feels heavy sometimes. It removes excuses. Now here is where things turn powerful. When 7 aligns with 22, intuition meets construction. This is where visions stop being fantasies. 22 asks you to take responsibility for your potential. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now, Nostradamus viewed 22 as the number that separates dreamers from builders. Both receive ideas. Only one acts with discipline. Ask yourself this honestly. Do you keep collecting ideas, or are you building something tangible? December 30th favors builders, even small ones, especially small ones, because structure compounds faster than inspiration. And finally, we reach the number people misunderstand the most, 66. This number does not activate through effort. It activates through worthiness. And this is where things get uncomfortable, because many people want abundance, but do not believe they deserve it without struggle, so they subconsciously block it. Nostradamus warned that abundance cannot enter a space filled with self-rejection. It has nowhere to land. So ask yourself, do you secretly believe good things must be earned through pain? Do you feel suspicious when things come easily? Do you delay joy because you think something bad will follow? That belief repels 66. December 30th magnifies this. It does not punish you. It mirrors you. Now pause. What do you believe about yourself when no one is watching? That belief decides how this number works in your life. Now here is something rarely discussed. These 6 numbers form a sequence. If you consciously work with them in order, momentum builds naturally. Stability, completion, expression, intuition, construction, receiving. Miss the order, and things feel forced. Follow it, and life begins responding without resistance. This is why some people seem lucky. They are not. They are aligned. Now, let me ask you something important. Have you noticed that this message feels less like information and more like recognition? That is because something in you already knows this. In part 3, we are going even deeper. I will reveal the master number Nostradamus warned should only be approached when all others are integrated. This number does not attract wealth alone. It changes your identity in relation to abundance. But before we go there, I want you to reflect on this question. If nothing external changed, but your internal alignment did, how different would your life already feel? Think about that, because part 3 is not about numbers anymore. It is about who you become when you stop resisting your own alignment. Stay with me. The final piece is coming. If you have made it this far, pause for a moment, not because this is the end, but because this is the point of no return. Most people never reach this stage. They consume information, feel inspired for a few minutes, and then return to old patterns. But you stayed, and staying changes things. Nostradamus believed that awareness itself alters destiny. The moment you truly see a pattern, you can never unknow it. From that moment forward, every choice carries weight. This is why part 3 matters. Because now we are no longer talking about numbers outside of you. We are talking about the frequency you become. In the earlier parts, you learn how the 6 numbers stabilize, complete, align, guide, build, and open the flow of receiving. But there was always one final vibration Nostradamus rarely wrote about directly, not because it lacked power, but because it carried too much of it. This number does not activate luck. It activates identity. And identity determines everything. The master number is 11, but not the version most people talk about. 11 is often described as intuition, awakening, or spiritual insight. That is only the surface. Nostradamus understood something deeper. 11 is a number of alignment between the visible and the invisible. It is a moment where thought, belief, and action collapse into a single point. When 11 activates, manifestation accelerates. Not because the universe changes, but because you stop contradicting yourself. Think about how often people say they want abundance, yet think in fear. How often they pray for opportunity, yet act from doubt. How often they visualize success, yet identify as someone who struggles. That internal contradiction blocks flow. 11 removes that contradiction. But here is the danger. 11 does not discriminate. It amplifies whatever identity you are currently holding. If you see yourself as unworthy, it amplifies insecurity. If you see yourself as aligned, it amplifies momentum. This is why Nostradamus warned that 11 should only be approached after grounding with 17, completing with 9, expressing with 3, listening through 7, building with 22, and allowing with 66. Without that foundation, 11 destabilizes instead of elevates. Now listen carefully. December 30th is not about activating 11 suddenly. It is about recognizing whether it is already activating within you. And here's how you know. You feel a quiet certainty replacing anxiety. You feel less need to explain yourself. You feel pulled toward clarity rather than chaos. You feel discomfort with old patterns that once felt normal. That is 11 beginning to integrate. Nostradamus described this phase as the narrowing of choice. Not limitation, but refinement. Fewer distractions. Fewer false desires. Fewer external validations. More truth. Now ask yourself something honestly. Do you still want what you wanted a year ago? Or have your desires shifted toward peace, clarity, stability, and meaningful abundance? That shift is not aging. It is alignment. And alignment is power. Now here is the part that changes everything. Nostradamus believed that true abundance does not arrive as a reward. It arrives as a byproduct of alignment. When your thoughts are coherent, your actions disciplined, your intuition trusted, and your self-worth intact, abundance has no resistance. It flows. This is why chasing rarely works, and why becoming always does. So on December 30th, do not ask the universe for more. Ask yourself a different question. Where am I still misaligned? Because correction creates flow faster than desire ever could. Now, let us anchor this with intention. On the morning of December 30th, before the world reaches you, do this quietly. Sit still for a moment. Place both feet on the ground. Take 3 slow breaths. On the first breath, think 17, stability. On the second breath, think 9, completion. On the third breath, think 3, alignment. Then pause. Allow 7 to bring awareness. Allow 22 to bring structure. Allow 66 to bring permission to receive. And only then softly acknowledge 11, not as a wish, as a recognition of who you are becoming. This is not ritual for superstition. It is focus, and focus directs energy. Now here is the final question, the one that determines whether this message stays information or becomes transformation. If abundance no longer required struggle, if alignment replaced effort, if clarity replaced fear, who would you allow yourself to become? Sit with that, because the universe is not waiting to decide your future. It is waiting to see who you decide to be. If this message resonated, comment below. I am aligned. I am ready. Subscribe to Prophecy of Luck if you haven't already, not for predictions, but for clarity, for patterns, for awareness. And remember this, you were never behind. You were never unlucky. You were never overlooked. You were being prepared. The next video will reveal how to protect this alignment once it activates. Because alignment attracts opportunity, but protection preserves it. Until then, stay grounded, stay aware, and trust the timing that brought you here.